RK's Guyana Free Media presents for human development and national development this message.
Dearest beloved divine friends and family, welcome to RK's Guyana Free Media, episode 75. And I'm your host, Haji Dr. Roshan Khan, presenting the marathon reading of Freddie Kissoon and my personal commentary, friends and families around the world. Namaste, assalamu alaikum, peace and blessings of God be with you as we honor and love our country, Guyana. Let us take a few seconds to listen to and look at my video of Oh Beautiful Guyana that was recorded right on the tarmac out here, and enjoy it for a minute and reflect on what a beautiful country we have and what a beautiful people we have, that we must live in love and happiness for one Guyana. This is taken from Kaieteur News, Wednesday, July 8, 2020. I don't give a damn who is Indian, African, white, etc. by Freddie Kissoon, the marathon horse, white stallion writer. White stallion writer and rider that inspires yours truly to bring his message to the world. And to the topic, ladies and gentlemen, the more Davidhanes writes, the more he exposes a one-dimensional psyche, in which the obsession with Guyanese of African ethnicity becomes almost a psychotic. For those who don't understand, he's saying the man one-dimensional psyche, his thought pattern, his way of seeing and doing things is an obsession. He obsessed. He's going crazy with Guyanese of African ethnicity, and it becomes psychotic, like it's a mental case, a psychosis, a mental disease. All he's concerned about is Afro-Guyanese and African Guyanese, and nothing is wrong. Because like Freddie, I don't care whether you're African or black, brown and Indian, Chinese, white, Portuguese, indigenous, I don't care. It means nothing to me. Back to the article. Describing Davidhanes by Freddie Kissoon. David seems mentally incapable of writing a sociological political analysis without mentioning that he is African. That Guyanese Africans emerged from slavery. That African Guyanese need to have their due share. And it goes on and on as if, ladies and gentlemen, commentary for me, nobody else did anything. Africans suffered, yes. The indigenous people suffered. They were enslaved and beaten and taken out of the country and sold overseas. Africans suffered tremendously, and they had to build the roads and the dams and everything else. But by the time they came, the Master House was already built, and the factories were already built. But they did their part in taking Guyana to another level. And when the Indo-Guyanese came, they did their part, as did the Portuguese and the Chinese. We all did our parts. And we know the Africans suffered more, all the other who came as indentured servants. Salutations to the African ancestors. And back to his article. In his letter yesterday to me, it is the expected banal repetition. Race, slavery, African Guyanese, etc. Well, there was a letter probably in the papers in which he was replying to Freddie Kissoon. And this is his basic wild writing, banal repetition, race, slavery, and African Guyanese, etc. It has become sad and tragic that an analyst can only see one dimension of Guyana's sociology. In other words, what he's saying, an analyst can't just see one-dimensional in one way. He has to have an open mind and consider all facets, all humanity, all people. Not just the sociology of one people alone. Unless you let it be known I'm an Afrocentric sociologist or I'm an Indocentric sociologist. I had never agreed with Davidhanes. I never did. He's a great guy, bright, but I could never agree with him. In the very way I can never agree with Davidhanes or anyone who believe in racial superiority of one people over another, or opportunities for one over another. Excuse me. Of course, you cannot win once you are non-African because the fallback position is inevitable. It is saturated in people like Davidhanes. Here it is. He's giving us an example. We non-African Guyanese will never understand how African Guyanese feel because we don't have the background of slavery. Unfortunately, that cannot explain all the modern dilemmas of Guyana. And the reason is simple. Others will contend that they came too and demand their share and want respect. That's the view of Davidhanes. According to Freddie Kissoon, this is an article being read by me that was published, as I said earlier, in the Kaieteur News. And back to the article. As David writes, the cobwebs are extending their tentacles. And sadly, he cannot see that. Here is the titanic contradiction. Let's quote him. So he's going to quote him. African Guyanese embraced and protected Freddie when his newfound heroes wanted him expired. Freddie, by newfound heroes, he means the PPP. Okay. So what he's saying, African Guyanese have to protect him when PPP was giving him a hard time. So let's see what, now he has newfound heroes. The point is, he's not a PPP. He's not a PNC. I'm going to defend the man now. Freddie Kissoon. He doesn't have any political alliance. The only one he was associated with somewhat, openly, was the APNU and AFC. And particularly supporting the AFC in the 2015 election. And he went and campaigned for them. But now, because he's being fair and he's pointing out the flaws of the APNU AFC, they're saying now he has new heroes, the PPP. So he should ask himself why the PPP wanted me killed. And not him. Eric Williams, Barrington Braffett, Takumo Gwensei, James Bond, etc. Freddie is saying newfound heroes, he means the PPP. So he should ask himself then, if that is the case, they wanted to kill him, why didn't they want to kill him, Eric Phillips, that's Davidhanes, Barrington Braffett, Takumo Gwensei, James Bond, who are known to be Afrocentric, and that is fine with me. People have a right to love who they are or what they are. But not to raise one people at the destruction of another because another might have gone up. You're going to try to raise another by destroying those who might go up. Bring up the other to the level of whom you think is up. Don't destroy. Or don't try to sabotage them from getting up in life, as was done to me in 2015, the first 3 months, and then 2016, 2017, ladies and gentlemen. I'm still smiling, and I'm still living, and my heart is at peace. And I repeat, as the sun watches over me, and the earth, and the radiation of the sun, and the wind, and the microbes, and the birds. Some of you don't know the story, how the birds saved Mecca. Birds saved Mecca from destruction. You have to look at some of my Islamic programs to understand that. And birds saved the whole Mecca from destruction. So birds, wind, air, microbes, watching on my behalf for those who try to destroy me. And then you'll destroy yourself. Back to the article. I must have done something terrible for the PPP to want to kill me. But if my memory serves me right, the PPP is Indian. I am Indian, who did not proclaim my Indianness and join my Indian brethren in the PPP, Indian-led PPP government, the identical way David, Bond, Phillips, Braffett, Ogonsei are sticking together with their African brethren in the PNC. He's saying he's something unique. He never embraced the Indian-led PPP government because he's of Indian origin. He's been principled. Unlike these other guys, David, Bond, Phillips, Braffett, Ogensei, etc., sticking together with their African brethren in the PNC. Could it be that the PPP wanted me expired because I betrayed my Indian government? and criticize my Indian brethren in power? Or could it be also that I'm just not interested in the ethnic composition of my government, but their human rights record? Yes, I think that's Freddie Kissoon. Me too. Human rights record. Fairness for all people. Back to the article. I did not know that my African brethren protected me when my newfound heroes wanted to kill me. The Kaieteur News, owned by an Indian man, did not succumb to the threats of the Indian government and stop me from writing. Maybe the Indian owner also betrayed his Indian government by retaining me. As to my newfound heroes, this is where the moral bankruptcy of David can be found. This is getting very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. I have newfound heroes, all because I assert my right to vote for Lennox Schumann and wanted to have that vote counted. Imagine, he didn't vote for Indian dominated friends, you know. He voted for an indigenous, or what we call Amerindian man and his party, and wanted to have that vote counted. So, how he has newfound friend in the PDP? Something is wrong with Davidhanes' thinking, analytical capacity, to my opinion, as a commentator here, ladies and gentlemen, and a reader, so to say, because I want Guyanese to vote and to have free and fair elections in my country. The PDP is my newfound hero. So he's saying, I want Guyanese to vote and to have free and fair elections in my country. Because he wants that, they're associating him as a PDP newfound friend and hero. In his letter, David proclaims Guyana is his hero. Freddie says, nothing wrong with that. The world will see nothing wrong with that. He said, nothing wrong with that. The world will see nothing wrong with that. What the world will see as wrong is when you impose your icons on others. In other words, if Guyana is your hero, nothing wrong. The world will say nothing wrong. I don't say nothing wrong. Freddie Kissoon doesn't say anything wrong. The problem is when you try to, he is your icon, and you try to impose your icon on others to make him, that icon, as your demigod. My word, my emphasis. Back to the article. Guyana is someone I have immense respect for, but he's not amongst my collection of heroes. The 2020 election drama has shown me a side to Guyana that has compelled me to examine the methodologies he has used to depict Guyanese contemporary political history the past 70 years. I'm saying most unambiguously. He's saying it as clearly as he can without any confusion or being ambiguous. He's being clear that I no longer see Guyana the same way because his attitude on the election impasse tells me he does not analyze situations objectively. He's not a fair analyst. You see Guyana. Mr. You see Guyana, according to Freddie Kissoon. I get the pellucid impression, pellucid means clear again, I get the pellucid impression that Guyana selects facts that suit his purpose, intentions and agendas. I believe he has used those questionable methodologies to obscure facts that if not, the recording of Guyanese history would be richer. Here is a man who has more than a dozen publications on Guyanese historical events. And when you look at his interpretations of the 2020 rigged elections, it has to cause you to question the contents of those publications. He has over 20 publications. But now when you look at him, and the things he is saying about the 2020 elections, it will create doubt in anybody's mind about those publications and the authenticity of those publications. He leaves independent media houses like Stabrook News and Kaieteur News and quotes from the Chronicle. He quotes from an up-known AFC candidate, Ganesh Mahipal. And we know Ganesh Mahipal is an opportunist maniac. He's just fearful that his political appointment will come to an end. And that's why he and certain other guys are behaving like total maniacs. Even Sheriff Duncan and Jones, they're behaving like total maniacs because they're afraid of losing the $20 million car or vehicle that our taxpayers have purchased for them. Ganesh Mahipal, but it is deliberately oblivious the many opposition candidates, some of whom have admirable integrity. He doesn't bring in any opposition people, even though some of them are extremely positive and clear in their conscience and fear. He tells us that he cannot comment on what is seen because he doesn't have the facts. But he has the facts to know that campaign money was spent without it being accounted for. He knows there was post-election violence. How did he know about these things when he doesn't live in Guyana? He's referring to all these points here. You see Guyana. It is this same lopsided approach to fact-finding that should cause us to question his objective analysis in his publications. Finally, David, I have no ethnic eye when I criticize people, something you couldn't understand. So he was writing about Guyana and David explaining those facts and those realities. My brothers, friends and families, here come the reading of that article by Freddie Kissoon taken in the Kaieteur News. Your friend, your brother, Haji Roshan Khan saying thank you for farewell, friends.